Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
It's really simple. We feel awesome when there's strong connection.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
Hello, this is Dr. Justin Coulson, the founder of happyfamilies.com.au and the author of 6 books about helping families to be happy. I'm here with Kylie, Mrs. Happy Families, who is feeling a little bit proud of herself today because the gym journey continues. What's your latest accomplishment, honey?
Well, a couple of days ago, I had to do a strengths test to see how well I could squat.
Are you getting stronger?
Well, I don't know because that was the first time.
Oh, okay. Right. Great stuff.
But
Yeah.
I have never...
See what we did there? Squats and butt. I said squats and then you said butt because squats are good for you. Anyway, sorry, you have never what?
I have never squatted with a 35-kilo bar before, so that was pretty exciting.
So you've done squats, proper squats with weights in the gym and you're progressing?
Yes. Don't talk to me about chin-ups yet, though.
Did you try?
I tried.
It didn't go well?
Let's just say I'm at the very, very beginning of that journey and my feet are not yet leaving the ground.
Right. So what we're talking about today is the drugs that are in our kids' brains. No, not drugs, but the neurotransmitters, the hormones that are buzzing around our children's brains, and what we can do to help them to be happier by getting the brain chemicals right. Without having to take any supplements, without having to do any pharmacological intervention, research tells us there's a bunch of things that we can do to help our children to get more of the right kinds of brain chemicals so that they can be happier and not have depression and anxiety. Hey, actually, you know what? This actually ties in with something that I did want to mention, which is a new screen issue that's come up. I've really been beating up on screens lately, but I think that I've got good reason for it. Facebook owns Instagram.
Uh-huh.
Well, Facebook is now building an Instagram for kids under the age of 13. Executives at Instagram are planning to build a version of the popular photo sharing app that can be used by children under the age of 13, according to an internal company post obtained by BuzzFeed News. I just read that and I thought this makes sense from a marketing point of view, but how many parents are actually out there saying to Facebook and Instagram, can we please get this for our kids? Like, we really want our kids on this, right? I think the answer would be a grand total of 0.
Maybe during the pandemic, actually, I think I was receiving a significant number of invites for our children to participate on Kids Messenger.
Yeah, Facebook Kids Messenger, right.
Yeah. And while I think it's wonderful that our kids have an opportunity to connect socially, my 10-year-old does not need Messenger.
And not as your 7-year-old. Our 7-year-old, your 10-year-old, my 10-year-old, our 10-year-old, our 7-year-old. No, they're really just saying we know that we can create a bigger market for ourselves if we get kids under the age of 13 using this stuff, and they're literally finding ways to do it. I'll post the link to this in the show notes. But that, again, it ties in with this idea. Emily's really happy because she's outside being active, she's doing all this stuff. And Facebook recognises that the same brain chemicals that are boosting her well-being while she's doing chin-ups and push-ups and jumping on the trampoline and running around the backyard with no shoes on because she refuses to wear them, those same brain chemicals can be harnessed to compel her to use a screen more and to get hooked on Facebook and Instagram. So I thought we should have a talk about what those brain chemicals are. There's over 100, by the way, over 100 neurochemicals, and they do 3 things. They either excite, which means that they encourage more communication within the brain, or they inhibit, which means that they reduce communication between the brain cells and the brain, or they modulate. And I want to talk about the 4 probably most popular brain cells, and they're easy to remember as well. If you can remember that you need to give yourself a good dose of these brain cells, you'll know what they are. D.O.S.E, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin,
endorphins.
That's it. They get you so excited.
So let's talk about dopamine.
Yeah, what do you know about dopamine?
Well, I think that it's the happy drug.
Yeah, that's what everybody, not drug, happy neurochemical. But it's interesting you use the term drugs with that because a lot of drugs actually go for the dopamine receptors. That's why things like cocaine and heroin are so addictive, because they affix themselves to the dopamine receptors, keep the dopamine in the blood cell longer and give people these chemical highs.
Well, we talk about getting a dopamine hit.
Yeah, that's
Sounds
exactly right.
a bit like a drug.
But dopamine is not necessarily what makes us happy. Dopamine is really heavily involved in anticipation. Dopamine is the brain chemical.
I've got a party this weekend and I'm so excited. I can't wait.
It's the dopamine that gets you buzzing. You're not at the party. Something else will kick in at the party, but it's the dopamine that gets you buzzing as you think about that really cool thing that's happening. And this is part of the reason why when we talk to our kids about...
So when we get to go to the bathroom all by ourselves as a mum, Is that
the dopamine starts buzzing.
I think that it starts to kick in.
The kids are in front of the telly. I can go to the bathroom and I'm going to be safe.
I'll get to have a shower today.
So dopamine is all about pleasure and reward. It's part of the reward center, primarily in the prefrontal cortex, but in other parts of the brain as well. Dopamine actually does a lot of things. But if you want to boost dopamine in your kids, you help them to feel a sense of accomplishment. You give them things to look forward to. You get them playing and laughing. And you give them
Food.
You give them food, yeah.
So I would have to say that Ella gets a huge amount of dopamine every time she walks in the door and she smells dinner.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Mum, are you cooking?
This is going to be the best dinner ever.
That's right.
So they're the things that you can do to boost your kids' dopamine. Let's come back after the break and talk about oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin so that we can give our children those experiences that provide a big dose of what makes us happy.
It's the Happy Families Podcast.
Are screens creating tension at home? Tweens, Teens and Screens is a webinar to guide families to healthy, safe super screen solutions. Buy it today at happyfamilies.com.au/shop.
It's the Happy Families Podcast, the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now. And today we are talking about neurological highs.
Yeah, the chemicals that our brain produces naturally when we're doing the right stuff so that we can be happy and not depressed, so that we can have energy and not anxiety, and particularly how we can help our children to feel good about life.
So you gave us an acronym before, D.O.S.E.
Yeah.
D for dopamine, O for oxytocin, S for serotonin, and E for endorphins.
Yep.
So we talked about dopamine. Tell me a bit about oxytocin. What is it responsible for?
Love.
Love.
Yeah, this is the social bonding neurochemical, and it's really simple. We feel awesome when there's strong connection. So if you want to have happy kids, one of the best things that you can do is boost their oxytocin levels, and you do that. Well, how do you show love to our kids?
Lots of cuddles and kisses.
And that's pretty much it. It's all they need. Hugs.
Snuggle time in bed, reading.
Yep. Compliments, feeling close. It doesn't have to always be interpersonal, though. Like playing with a pet can release a whole lot of oxytocin because it's just about bonding. You don't bond with a phone or a tablet or a screen. There's not a whole lot of
a turtle or a snake.
I reckon some kids probably do. So that's our oxytocin. You want to help your kids to be happy, boost them up with dopamine by giving them something to look forward to, and absolutely hit them with hugs, because those hugs release that oxytocin.
Well, what about serotonin?
This is a really interesting one because we've talked about excitatory neurotransmitters like dopamine and oxytocin, but serotonin is more of an inhibitor. This one's a slowing you down kind of neurochemical, and it's so important for just being stable and level and peaceful and feeling good about life. Serotonin's heavily involved in appetite. Interestingly, this is a factoid about serotonin that most people don't know, because people think that anything serotonin related means this is a brain chemical, and therefore we take SSRIs, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, to overcome depression. But mostly you find serotonin in the intestines and gut. In fact, people talk often about the importance of gut health, and we've got a whole lot of brain cells that connect to our gut. And serotonin is as much in our brain. In fact, it's even more in our gut. And this is why kids get hangry, right? This is why we get hangry, because when the serotonin is low and we're not eating enough and we're not getting the food that we need, we're not getting those nutrients that we need, our serotonin goes low, it's not inhibiting the negative mood, and all of a sudden we feel lousy. So we've got to help our body to produce enough serotonin that we can be happy, and this is especially important for kids.
So how do we help our children get a good dose of serotonin?
The same way that we would get it ourselves. And if you think about the idea of being stable, that gives you a clue for the kinds of activities that you might do to boost serotonin.
I had a conversation with a friend earlier today, actually, about this very thing. She's going on her very first camping trip.
Wow.
And she just had a phone call from the organiser, her friend, who said, look, the weekend's not looking good. It's going to rain. And she's like, I can't do it. I can't do it in the rain where there's going to be mud and, wet, and it's just all a bit too much. And I said, you know what? I said, because you've never done it before, I said, you are starting to think about all of the things that you don't have control over. I said, the great thing about camping is once you get there, everything just stops. Everything. Everything stops. And you just get to enjoy.
Even in the rain?
Even in the rain.
Yeah. So camping is not on my list of how to boost serotonin, but being in the sun and being in nature and slowing down are exactly what does. And now that you've said that, I can't believe I didn't put it on my list. A great insight. We should go camping in the rain this weekend as well. Let's do it. I want to go.
I don't know what the hormone is I'm getting before I go camping, though, because it's a pretty stressful process getting packed for camp.
I think that's called adrenaline. Epinephrine is the fancy word for that one. So,
okay, last one.
Well, just before you do, the other one that's really great for serotonin is mindfulness, meditation. Beautiful for building serotonin into the lives of our children and giving them a good dose of what will make them feel stable, calm, content.
Last one, endorphins.
Yeah, this one's not going to make you calm.
Okay, hit me.
Well, endorphins are nature's natural painkiller. And we feel the biggest rush of endorphins when we are laughing or when we're exercising.
That's interesting because the exercise I've been doing lately is actually hurting me. Right. I'm feeling a lot of pain, not painkillers. I'm feeling pain.
But right now you're laughing about it and it doesn't feel so bad anymore, does it? So that's it. It's that simple. Make your kids happier by giving them a good dose of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins.
I love it. Let's go exercise.
I think that we should have a good lie down first. We hope that you've enjoyed the podcast. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media, and Craig Bruce is our executive producer. If you want more info about how you can make your family happy, there's a couple of things you need to know about. First off, we've got a fantastic summit with 8 world-leading experts in little people and big emotions. It's called Little People, Big Feelings, and it's coming up in a couple of weeks. You can get all the info at our Facebook page, Dr. Justin Coulson's Happy Families. Also, wanted to highlight, we haven't done this for a while, but every now and again, I think that it's really nice to just acknowledge that people do jump onto Apple Podcasts and say nice things about the podcast. And we got a review that came from This Nickname Stuff Is Crazy, who gave us 5 stars, said, love it, fantastic podcast, easy listening, lighthearted but sensible and realistic advice, able to apply practical solutions to sometimes not so easy situations that we all face in everyday family lives. So thank you, This Nickname Stuff Is Crazy. We appreciate that. If you'd like more info about making your family happier, either through the Little People Big Feelings Summit or through our Happy Families memberships, you can get everything that you need at happyfamilies.com.au.